The US government is planning to reset the dollar as soon as 2026. Last year, the total interest payments on the debt has exceeded the spending on the military. And that was a major warning sign for the US government, because if this trend is going to continue, in 10 years from now, the government will be forced to reduce the size of the military just to avoid a financial default. And we all know how much the government just loves the military. Look at this graph. In 2020, the total interest payments were about $500 billion. Well, that seems like a lot of money. It was sustainable. The government can afford a few $100 billion in interest payments. And then it got out of control. In just 3 years, the total interest payments have climbed to over $1.2 trillion. That is more than the total military spending by $350 billion. That money is not spent on making the country better. That money is not spent on building schools, infrastructure, hospitals, or anything. That money is simply spent just to ensure that the dollars that you have in your bank account do not become worthless overnight. So that puts a lot of pressure on the shoulder of the government, which is why the government was actually trying to find a solution. And it seems like they have found a solution. A solution that you are not going to like. But before I tell you about that, let me share with you how traders are making enormous profits out of the stock market. One of the strategies traders use to plan their trades is around quarterly earnings reports. These reports are like financial checkups for the company, how well the company has performed over the last 3 months. If the company beats analyst expectations, the stock often spikes, traders can profit. On the other hand, if the company underperforms, traders may choose to short the stock betting on the fall of the stock. With thousands of stocks in the market, keeping track of every earnings report can become very quickly overwhelming. That's where Moomoo's earnings calendar comes in. It makes monitoring these reports simple and organized. You can see which companies are reporting next, set alerts for the ones you want to follow, and even dive into their financial statements without leaving the app. Moomoo offers many features, from personalized AI assistant to an institutional tracker. Backed by Futu Holdings, a company that is listed on the Nasdaq and trusted by over 28 million users worldwide. There is $0 commission fee on stocks, options, and ETFs, $0 contract fee for equity options, free level 2 data, and real-time option chains, and advanced type orders for traders who want full control. If you're ready to join me and 28 others using Moomoo, scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link below this video. For a limited time, as a thank you note, you can get up to $1,000 worth of Nvidia stocks if you sign up and make a deposit using the link below this video. The average interest rate on the $38 trillion debt is about 3.3%, and that's why the government is paying $1.2 trillion in interest payments. Yes, there is $1.8 trillion deficit, but the vast majority of it are the interest payments that the government is making. If we suddenly get rid of these interest payments, then the real deficit is literally about $580 billion or so. So it's not literally a huge pressure. So the real question is, how did the government suddenly end up with so much interest payments? Back in 2020 and 2021, the government has borrowed a lot of short-term debt in order to distribute stimulus checks to the average American. Finally, people were happy that the government is directly paying them money. But remember, there is no such thing as free lunch. But in 2020, investors didn't actually buy it. Why suddenly the government wants to borrow money to literally just distribute it to the average people? Which is why they did not suddenly begin to buy all of these government bonds that the government has issued. And that's a problem for the government, because the cost of borrowing money literally depends on demand and supply. If there is a lot of people and investors want to buy the US treasuries and there is very limited demand for them, then the cost cost of borrowing goes down, and vice versa. If there is very limited demand for these treasuries and the government wants to borrow a lot of money and issues a lot of these treasuries, suddenly the cost of borrowing goes to the moon, which means that the government will have to pay trillions of dollars in interest payments. And that's something the government couldn't possibly afford, which is why the Federal Reserve steps in and starts buying all of these treasuries from the US government. That huge demand for the treasuries by the Fed has decreased the average cost of borrowing to about 1.8%. So even though that the total deficit in 2020 was about $3.1 trillion, the cost of borrowing that money was $500 billion. So the government borrowed way more money in 2020 and yet paid very little interest on it compared to today. Today, the total deficit is much smaller than 2020, and yet the government is paying far more in interest payments. Why can't the Fed simply continue buying those treasuries to make it more affordable for the government to keep borrowing money? And that's because there is a huge difference between the Fed and the average investors. The normal investors, when they buy the treasuries, they do that with their hard-earned money. They're investors. They want to profit out of it. So if they can actually lend their money to the US government and generate interest, that is fantastic. But where the Fed gets the money to buy the treasuries from the US government, it prints it out of thin air, which is going to increase the supply of money, which is going to increase inflation. And that's why by 2022, when the Fed realized that it is massive buying of US treasuries and increasing its balance sheet has caused almost double-digit inflation, it stopped doing that and stopped buying the US treasuries. What do you think that does to the market? Suddenly, those treasuries are expiring. Because every treasury has a maturity date, which means that the government pays you interest throughout that you're holding that debt. And then when it reaches the maturity, the government has to pay you back the principal. But because the US government does not plans to pay you back the money, the principal, that means that the US government has to refinance that debt. So it issues a new treasury, sells it to a new investor, takes that money and pays the previous debt. And since the Fed is no longer actually buying those treasuries, now the Fed has to find real investors. That increases the supply of treasuries in the market, and assuming that demand remains the same, suddenly the government has to offer a much higher interest rate to attract these investors. That increased the average interest rate on that debt, which increased the total interest payments to about $1.2 trillion by 2024. But this is unsustainable because most of that debt is short-term debt, and that debt consistently expires and the government has to consistently refinance the debt. So here's the plan how to fix it. The Fed will stop quantitative tightening as soon as December. Whenever the treasuries that the Fed is holding are going to expire, the Federal Reserve is going to buy the exact same treasuries to help the government refinance the debt. Suddenly, all those treasuries that would have hit the market anyways are not going to hit the market, which is going to limit the supply of treasuries. And if we assume that demand for these treasuries remain the same, the average interest rate on these treasuries should theoretically fall down. The second thing that they would do is that there are rumors that the Fed will start quantitative easing as early as 2026. It might not happen until Jay Powell because he doesn't want more inflation, but Jay Powell is leaving office in the first half of 2026, and he will be replaced by somebody who is much more loyal to Donald Trump, and he will certainly start quantitative easing as soon as 2026. Quantitative easing means that the Federal Reserve will start actively buying treasuries from the market. So if there is huge demand for these treasuries by the Fed, and assuming that the supply remains the same, suddenly the average interest rate on these treasuries are going to fall. And if they successfully bring the average interest rate from about 3.3% to as low as 2.5%, the total interest payments would fall to $950 billion, saving the government about $300 billion in interest payments. But if those treasury purchases will be much more aggressive and the rate will go to about 2%, the total interest payments would go to $760 billion. And at 1.5%, total interest payments would go to as low as $550 billion. And that will help the government enormously to reduce this deficit. The real question is, can the Fed afford that? Currently, the Fed holds about 13% of all the treasuries in the market. Well, that seems like a lot. By global standards, that's not a lot. There are central banks that hold the treasuries of their countries or the governments at about 20%. In the case of Japan, it's about 50%. Of course, the US won't go to as high as 50% because at that point, you're going to lose your status as the global reserve currency. But there is a lot of room to maneuver. It can increase it to 15% or 16% over the next couple of years. It is going to cause massive inflation, but that inflation depends on how aggressively the Fed is going to do that. If it's going to do that instantly, immediately like it did back in 2020, it is instantly going to cause massive inflation. But if that is going to happen gradually over many years, then that inflation will be gradual. So inflation is simply not going to go to 2% anytime soon, and we will have a 3% or 3.5% inflation in 2026 and 2027 and so on and so forth. But here's how it's going to hurt you. When the Fed is going to buy all these treasuries, it's going to buy them primarily from the banks because banks are the major holders of US treasuries. They are required by law to hold all of these treasuries in order to do these banking transactions. And now the Fed is buying all these treasuries from you. The banks will be left with a lot of cash, with a lot of liquidity. They have to start providing loans. Since there are far more money in the banks than the number of people who want to borrow them, interest rates are going to go down. Getting a mortgage will be easier, getting an auto loan will be easier and cheaper. That will massively increase spending and will lead to much higher prices, which is going to increase the nominal GDP. The real GDP is the real economy. So to grow the real economy, you have to increase the output. You have to become more productive. You have to build more stuff. That is going to increase the real GDP. But at the same time, prices could increase without increasing the real size of the economy. That's what we call a nominal GDP. For example, the price of your house could double, but then it's the exact same house. Nothing actually changed about it. It's the exact same land, the exact same house. Did you increase the productivity? Well, of course not, but the price has doubled because the money supply has doubled, which is why the nominal GDP has increased. So if the nominal GDP increases while debt remains the same, suddenly we are going to have a much lower debt to GDP ratio. So on one side, with this solution, we are lowering down the average interest rate on this debt, which is going to cost the government a lot less to service this debt. Essentially, the government wants to fix the enormous debt problem at your own expense, at the expense of devaluing your dollar and resetting the value of the dollar. The US government has a track record of doing that multiple times, back during 1930s, 1970s, and 1980s, and it seems like it's about to do the exact same thing today. On one side, it is going to make the average American poorer, but if you are holding real assets whose values are going to rise alongside the increase in the money supply, then you're not going to lose. Most likely, you are going to win. So if you're not an investor yet and you want to start investing, here's going to be a fully animated video somewhere here on the screen that will teach you everything you need to know about investing. So go right now and watch it.